We are live. Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
hello. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. There's 4 people here, but nobody's speaking. We may have some lurkers, so we love you, lurkers, and you don't have to say anything.
That's
You
right.
just be here. Just support us. That's it. Make sure you subscribe to Ange if you're new here.
Hey, everybody. How are you? I'm so glad to be here, Lexi. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I couldn't do this without you.
Yes, this is so exciting.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know me that may be watching, my name is Ange. I have a channel here on YouTube called Roots and Waves, and Lexi was kind enough to post the link already in the chat. So thank you so much in advance for supporting both of us.
Ah,
And
hi,
hey,
Zoe. Hi, Booba.
Zoe's here. Hey, hey. Good to see you, girl. Thanks for being here.
Yes, good to see you.
All right. So Lexi, we've been planning this discussion for quite a while.
Mhm. We
So I'm
have.
I'm really excited about it. Do you want
Me
to
too. Me
introduce what
too.
we'll be talking about, or do you want me to do
Yeah,
it? Or
sure. Whatever you do, you're my guest. So why don't you have the floor?
oh, right. Okay. So let's back the train up and say how this came about of why we wanted to have this discussion. So I met Lexi through YouTube. It was back in February, February,
Hmm.
March,
Hmm.
February, I think February.
Yes.
And at the time, we were both reading the Mel Robbins Let Them Theory book.
Yes.
And hey, Janet, how are you? And we were both reading this, like not together, but just like separately, like reading it through it. And then Lexi was posting some videos and live streams where she was talking about a different book called The Book of Boundaries
Mhm.
by Melissa Urban. And I was like, girl, what's that book? And Lexi was saying that this book really complemented this book. And I was like, oh, so of course I had to get it. And
Yes.
once it came in, I was like, these books were made for each other. They complement each other very well. Hey, Maru,
Hi,
hello.
Maru. Hi, Janet.
Thanks for being here, girl. Um, so the books together fit really well in terms of their theme. I'm just gonna put my water over here. Um, yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, like the let them theory, this really is about like acceptance, surrender, and like releasing control, where this one is um like self advocacy and structure, protection of your peace, things like that. So when you put them together, it's basically like the let them like invites you to release controlling people, where the book of boundaries allows you to do just as it says. It establishes boundaries in your life so that way you can have more healthy relationships.
Mhm.
Okay, so we thought it would be really fun to just make some videos and do some live streams so that we could talk to you all
Yes.
live about this topic and see what you think. Hey,
Hey,
Selena.
Selena. Miha.
Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for being here, girl.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, so we're just gonna come. It's gonna be like a chill, like hangout kind of conversation. We want you all in the audience to feel like you're just sitting here with us, like having a cup of coffee or a beer or hey, whatever your drink of choice
Yes, or
may be.
whatever. Glass of wine, whatever you got.
Whatever you prefer. And
Hi,
hey,
Kristen Louise.
Kristen. Hey, so many amazing people here tonight. Thank you. Um,
Ah, Jess.
Jess,
Hey,
what's your best
Jess.
friend? Hey, Jess, I believe
Yes.
just posted like one of her first videos, so please check her channel out
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Congrats, Jess. I'm excited for you and your new channel.
Yes. Yes.
So, anyway, so yeah, so boundaries, boundaries are important. I mean, they're
Yes.
necessary in order to have functioning and healthy relationships of all kinds, not just our personal friendships and family members, but also in our work environments as well. Um,
Mhm.
Oh, she posted halfway to Halloween. Okay, I saw that she posted something, Selena, but I wasn't sure which
Oh,
video.
yeah.
So,
I haven't done mine yet. I gotta do it.
mm,
Selena tagged me, and, um, beautiful Lila, Tapestry of the Unseen, tagged me, and our beautiful Bronx bombshell, Miss Tarot D. So now I really
yes.
gotta do
Oh yeah.
it.
I'm sure Miss Terrell D will be showing up in the chat at some point.
I'm sure,
I'm
I'm
sure.
sure.
So yeah. So my experience so far with reading these books, I mean, it's really sort of reminded me um, that boundaries are necessary and they're part of self care. Like
Yes.
uh, I definitely used to be a people pleaser, and I would say I'm still working on that in terms of not doing that. Hey, Jenna.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Jenna.
And that's something I think that a lot of us live with and
Yes.
have to work on. Being
Yes.
a people pleaser in the work environment was a big one for me, which led to burnout. So that I would say was the real catapult for me to like pull back and be like, okay, where else in my life am I sort of expending my energy too much in this regard? And it invites you to examine all of your relationships in life.
It
And
does.
so, yeah, and then once you really recognize like where you're expending your energy, predominantly your time, but also your
Yes.
energy, like emotionally and intellectually and things like that. Then from there you can begin to establish your boundaries, right? Because it's called energy leaks, and wherever your energy is leaking, you kind of want to patch that up by creating these boundaries. Um, hello, hello. Okay, there we go. All right. So what are your thoughts on these books that you've been reading together?
Yes. Well, the first one, of course, I started was the Book of Boundaries, and I had this book for over a year before I even picked it up.
Okay, so you had this one
And
first. Okay.
yes, I had this book first, and this book is like it's like the Bible. This is like the Bible, and I mean, really, I've learned so much from this book, and most of you all know me here know that um, Lex, I really don't take any shit from anybody. You already know that.
We know
But
that. Yes.
yeah, yes. But it's really asserting yourself. Being assertive
Yeah.
is what this book teaches you, to be assertive and speak up for yourself, because so many times we feel like we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings,
Yeah.
or we just want to say yes and be that yes person, that people pleaser when we don't want to do it. Why would you say yes to something that your heart is not in it, you don't want to do it, it makes you're miserable about it? No is a complete sentence, and you don't
Yes.
owe anybody any explanations on anything. We don't always have to be everything to everybody. We don't always have to do everything that everybody else does or everybody else expects us to do at all. And this book really teaches you how to be respectful. You're not being rude to anyone, but it teaches you how to be respectful and say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for thinking of me, but I can't do that at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
for instance, she says here, in business, because a lot of people still work. I am retired and I don't work, but in business, thank you for thinking of me. It doesn't Somebody's asking you to do a project, to do some group work, and you're like, this just doesn't feel right for me right now, but I appreciate you for considering me or asking me. That is something, and with our families, and with friendships too. With our friendships, you know I don't need you to share stories about things that I don't want other people to know. So
Mm.
that's a
Yeah.
big one, because sometimes your friends, they mean well, but they kind of go off the deep end. And when you're in a group setting and they may say, "Oh, Ange did so and so and so," and you're like, I didn't need you to bring that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for
or I
sure.
didn't, so just certain things that work for everyday life. And that's what I like about this book. It gives you the scenarios for everything. For dealing with parents, a lot of times we have most of us in this group here are of a certain age, but for younger, maybe parents who have kids, and the grandparents think they know what's right and they know everything and how to, and they're butting in. You can set a boundary with them and say, this is how we do things here. And this is not up for debate or discussion. You can't stop anybody for thinking or anything. Whatever they're going to do, they're going to do.
Hmm.
That's where the let them theory comes in,
Right.
because we cannot help what anybody's thinking. We can't stop anybody from having their thoughts on what we're doing or anything. We could just set a boundary for ourselves. And we have to remember that the boundary is for us, it's
Yep.
not for them. And I think that's where a lot of people fall into a trap of, then there's hurt feelings and things. No, no, no. The boundary's not for them. The boundary is for us. We
Right.
have to keep that boundary for ourselves. We can't make them do anything.
No,
So,
that's right.
as this says, we have to kind of let them do what they do, but we have to hold our own selves accountable.
Absolutely. I love that. And
Yes.
boundaries, they are it's hard. Boundaries are hard, especially if you're a people pleaser, or especially if boundaries are fairly new to you and you're just sort of used to, like, I'll just do it all. And I see a few comments in the chat of Jess and Selena specifically. Jess is talking about work and Selena's talking about school.
Yes.
And see, these are all different environments,
Yes.
right? Where we're expected to
Yes.
work with others. And oftentimes, such
Yes.
as Jess and Selena, they are carrying the weight of these projects and of the workload. And
Yes. Yes.
that's just, it's not okay, because at the end of the day, whether you're the student, you're going after that degree, like, you're all going for the same goal. You shouldn't have to carry all that weight. And same with Jess, you're all getting the paycheck at the end of the week, and you shouldn't have to
Hmm.
be the one doing all
No,
of the work, right?
exactly.
um
Exactly.
so yeah. Hey, Mama T, hello. How are
Hi
you today?
there.
Yeah, people suck. Yes, they can. They can. And that's where
Yes,
boundaries
they
come in place,
can.
right? Because boundaries teach people how to treat you, right? Basically,
Yes.
if you're going to just continue to allow something to happen, I mean, then that's just what's going to happen. They're going to use you as a doormat, and they're going to keep walking all over you. Ask me how I know. Because I have definitely overcome so much of that in my life. Maybe even at one point not recognizing that was happening. So, for me, it was like learning more about what boundaries really are, and how do I even go about establishing them, right? And that's sort of kind of what we want to teach you or share with you, really, here today in this video. And as with any of the lives that I do and Lexi does, please chime in to the chat of
Yes.
any ideas that you have, any questions that you have. I mean, certainly we're not calling ourselves experts, but we would be willing to definitely have a conversation and explore anything around this topic that you would like to bring up. Um, so back to what we were saying, the let them theory. I have my notes, girl. I got my notes.
Yes. 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 That's
So
what
the
I
let
say
them
every day,
theory,
right?
the let them theory book is basically saying, let people do what they're going to do, and you get to choose
Mhm.
peace. Okay. So because
Mhm.
remember, at the end of the day, you can't control anyone but yourself. You only have control over you. You don't have control over other people. And that's really what the let them theory is basically diving into. And then we go into this one, the book of boundaries, and this teaches how to assert yourself clearly and respectfully. Okay. So because again, like with the let them theory, like, fine, yeah, let them, but you're not just going to
Mhm.
let people walk all over you, right? You're going to let them
No.
do them. But when it comes to your interactions with you, you're going to teach people how to treat you, and things of
Yes.
that nature, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
uh, yeah, I'm just reading my notes, see what else we got going on here. Hello to anybody joining us in the chat.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Everyone.
Mhm. And that was a good thing that you brought up earlier, Lex. You were saying about, if somebody approaches you, like, at work, or in a group for a group project of any kind, whether it be online or at work or wherever. And if you already know, like, your plate is full, like, that is exactly a boundary. You can just
Yes.
respond by saying, "Thank you so much for including me. I appreciate it, but my plate is really full at the moment, so I'm going to have to politely decline. But please keep me in mind for future projects."
Yes,
You know.
exactly, exactly. I just want to chime in here and just say to hi to Miss Tarot D in the building.
Oh, Miss
The
Tarot
Bronx
D.
Bombshell is in the building.
Yes.
And Miss
Hey.
Audra Die. Hi, Audra.
Audra, hey. Good to see ya. Hello,
And Mama
hello.
T. Thank you, Mama T, for being here. Thank you. Please, everyone, subscribe. Connect with each other here. We really need to do that. That's something that I learned yesterday from Alvin.
Aw, I know Alvin's amazing. Um, yeah, I will actually be live with Miss Tarot D on Miss Tarot D's channel this weekend on Saturday, June
Yes.
7th at 7 p.m. Same time, different channel.
Yes. Yes.
So be sure
I'm
to
excited.
subscribe to Miss Tarot D. Miss Tarot D, drop your link. Drop your link so people can join us.
Yes. Oh, hello, Elizabeth.
Hey, girl! Hey, hey, hey!
How
How's it
are you,
going?
Boricua?
Good to see you. Good to see you. So, okay. When we put both of these books together, right, we're kind of wondering, like, well, how do I do it? Okay, if we could talk about boundaries, we could talk about this, but how do I actually do it? How do I implement it? And so I wrote down a few things. So, uh, three questions to ask yourself as you're sort of integrating this into your life. One, what am I trying to control? Two, what boundary do I need? And three, what will I do if this boundary is crossed? Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing before you even begin any of this work is to know, like, what are your values? What are your expectations? Right. And then sort of deciphering healthy boundaries versus unhealthy boundaries. And what I mean
Yes.
by that is, healthy boundaries are just as they sound. It's something that you're putting in place to protect you, your health, your mental, and sometimes even physical, right? Space. And unhealthy boundaries can be like where you establish a boundary but then you don't really maintain it or you don't enforce it, right? So it's kind of
Right.
like a little
Right.
wishy-washy,
Right.
and therefore there's like basically look at it like a boundary with like holes in it. Think people are
Yes.
and energy is getting through those holes, right? So you
Yeah.
really do have to make like a solid boundary. But when you set a boundary, I don't want you to look at a boundary like a wall, like a brick wall, because that's not what that is. A boundary is more like a door or a gate because you can open it and you can close it. You don't want to shut people
Yes.
out. Like, that's not really what,
No.
although there's some situations where you have to do that, but that's
Yes.
extreme, right? That's
Yes.
extreme, and that's probably where you've attempted to work with somebody and it just is not getting through to them, or they're not respecting your boundaries, and therefore some of them does, it has to be like a permanent boundary, like a permanent wall. But for the most part, boundaries are like a gate or a door that kind of opens and
Yes.
closes.
Yes. I
And
agree with that. Um, but I don't want to interrupt you. Mama T was listing some words, some things here. She was saying stability and that she needs to work on self-control for herself more.
yes,
And also she was saying consistency
yes, that's a
and
very important.
and respect. So all of those things are
Yes.
pillars of boundaries.
Yes, thank you, Mama T. I
Yes.
appreciate you adding that. That is absolutely right, because
Yes.
without
Yes.
consistency and without following through with your boundaries, it's boundaries are not set it and forget it. Oh no. Boundaries, you have to sort of
No.
revisit them. Sometimes we're going to change it up a little bit. Sometimes we have to reestablish and reaffirm, right? The boundaries with certain people.
Yes.
Oh, Carolina's here. Hello.
Yes. Hey,
And
Carolina.
Fatima's
And
here.
Fatima.
Or
Hi,
Fatima.
Fatima.
Fatima. I always say it wrong. Oh. Okay. Um All right. What else do I want to say here? We already said that. Um, One thing that I wanted to point out was a person that I really admire out here that is an author and a speaker is Brene Brown. I've brought her up in some other live streams that I've had. She is wonderful when it comes to boundary setting, when we're talking about vulnerability and empathy. She's phenomenal. If you don't know Brene Brown, please look her up. All of her work is amazing. I definitely have some Brene Brown books sitting beside me over here on the shelf.
Description when the video goes live, after
Yes.
the live, when the live goes live.
When the live goes live. So check that out. It's actually a really good video. In that video, she mentions that her definition of boundaries is what is okay and what is not okay. And that's going to
Hmm.
look very different for every single person, right? That is the whole point of boundaries because I don't know what your expectations are and you don't know what mine are. And
Right.
remember when we're talking about it like expectations, that to me that always sounds like such a loaded word, like expectation. Well,
Right.
we have to have expectations, right? Because otherwise people are just going to walk all over us. But I mean, there are some people that have these kind of like extravagant elegant, sort of
Yes. Yes.
expectations that are a little unrealistic. And so
Right.
that's not really what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about getting to know you and what your core values are and what is okay with you and what is not. And once you know that, from there then you can begin to do the work in these books that we're talking about here.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, hello, Hilda. Hilda's
Hey,
here.
hey
Oh, and
Hilda.
hi,
John is here, which is Fatima's brother. Oh
John.
my gosh.
Yes.
Fatima, I'm
Yes.
sure that John already told you the story, but we're all embarrassed because we're like, oh, at first we thought it was um Fatima's husband. And then people were like, no, it's not her husband, it's her brother. And then someone's like, wait, I think it's her son. I was like, oh my gosh. So John was in another live stream chat and we're like, John, you gotta set this straight. Like, Fatima's not gonna be happy with us here. Please tell us, what is your relationship to her? So we apologize. Now we got it straight. John is your brother. So so forgive us for that kerfuffle there. Um
Yes.
Hilda, my sister, hello. It's so good to see
Yes,
you.
Hilda.
Thanks for being here. We love you so much.
Yes, we
Um
do.
but
We
back
love
to
you all.
yes, back to Brene Brown. In that video that's posted below in the description if you want to check it out, there's one thing she said in there. It said, most of us are not comfortable setting boundaries because we care too much about what others think. We don't want to disappoint anyone and we want everyone to like us. So, because of that, boundaries are not easy, but they're necessary. So, you know, I'm sure that a lot of you that are watching, and maybe some that are new that are watching don't know this, but a lot of times when we talk about doing the work in a lot of our videos and maybe even card
Mhm.
readings we do for people, some people
Mhm.
will be like, what do you mean doing the work? Part of doing the work is actually setting boundaries, right? Because
Yes.
it's very, very important for you to protect your energy. And that is the
Yes.
title within the title of this video today is about protecting your energy.
Yes.
And setting boundaries is part of that your time is very valuable, right? And so,
Mhm.
and your the way that you walk through the world, the way that you sort of show up and feel comfortable
Yes.
in spaces,
Yes.
it matters. And so
Yes.
boundaries helps sort of to protect all of that.
Yes. Yes. We have some good comments here.
Moira, hey,
Hey, Moira. Hi, beautiful. Mama T says you want respect above all.
yes,
And
and that's it.
yes,
Yeah, for sure.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Fatima says, before her mom passed away, she told me to take care of Odelia and John since they were single.
Oh,
Yes, yes. So she has adopted them.
that's cool. I love that. I
Yes,
love to hear when
yes,
families sticks together.
yes. We love
Absolutely. And
that.
even
We
more
love
so now,
that.
right? Because the world is it's like so expensive out here. I find more and more families are coming together, right? And so
Yes,
that's good. That's cool.
yes, yes. Elizabeth had a good point too. She says sometimes you set boundaries and they aren't respected. So it's important to stand firm.
Yes, that is a really important
Yes,
point. Thank you, thank you,
yes,
thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing that up because it goes back to what we were saying. Like, it's not just set it
yes.
and forget it. It's sometimes you have to reaffirm.
You
Sometimes you have
do.
to remind people of what your boundaries are.
Yes, yes,
Um,
you do. You have to remind people because
yeah,
remember, like we said, the boundaries are for us, they're for you,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
not for the other people
Right.
because we can't control other people's minds and thoughts and what they're going
No,
to do.
No, no.
So they are for us. So that's why, yes, it's important to be firm. And if you have to repeat yourself a million times, but if it gets to that point, then that's when you just have to step away and say, I'm just not going to do this with you anymore. And that's
Right,
it. And be
right.
done with it. And just done. You're just going to be done. And she has a section in here too about blocking,
Mhm.
because she's like, sometimes you have to do it's necessary. You
Right.
will have to block somebody if they just can't get it together. They can't get that you have a boundary, and they make either fun of it or make light of it all the time. And you have to keep all the time saying, what stating your boundary. Then it's time to let that go.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
It's time to
Yeah,
let
there
that
are
go.
some relationships that have to be severed, and that could be professional relationships or friendships or acquaintances
Yes.
or whatever,
Yes.
very important. And in terms of like what we would be talking about here, let's use an example. Let's say, okay, so let's say your boss at work is continuously asking you, right, to stay overtime,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
at first you're like, hey, I could use the extra money or whatever.
Yes.
But then it became like, wait a minute, like now I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing more work
Yes.
than anyone else. Just because
Yeah.
I'm good at it doesn't mean I should be, and I'm using a real life example for myself here.
Yeah. Yes.
And so
Yes.
you're like, yeah,
Yes.
I can do that. And so just because you can do that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you should do
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Because
Right.
what's going to happen, and what happened to me, is you're going to end up burning yourself out, and you might not even recognize it until it's too late. And
Yeah.
so instead, you could just say, hey, you know what? Yes, I'm available one day a week to stay overtime. You pick the day,
Mhm.
maybe the busiest day that you need help, let me know. Um, you know, but if your boss is like, hey, I know you said one day a week, but look, we're really swamped. It's like, nope, one day a week, pick your day, and that's it. And it's
Yes.
hard sometimes, right? On both of our sides, because sometimes you're like, oh, I could use that extra money. It's like, but money is not
Yes.
more important than your health, right?
No,
And you
it's
have to
not.
remember that.
Yes, you
And
do.
when we set boundaries, this is for your health. This is for your self
Yes.
care. This is
Yes.
vital to your well being. And
Yes.
so, again, like we've said many times already in this live, the boundaries are for you, not for
Mhm.
someone else. They're
Mhm.
for yourself.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
Mama
There's some good
T.
chat. Mama T has a lot of good things. Mama T said she had to block today. Truth.
Oh,
Yes,
shoot.
Mama
Yeah.
T. Yeah.
I
You
hate doing
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah, we
It's,
do too. That's always the last straw,
it is.
but it's
It is.
it's at times it's necessary. And you can't really feel bad about it because it's called self-care and self-preservation.
Yeah, that's right.
And we just have to do that. We don't want to become so to the point where we're angry at this person and all of those things. We just have to get away from that. Sometimes you have to um you have to be silent. You just have to, you know, get away from that situation. For a lack of a better word here.
Moira, it's important to be consistent with boundaries. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Um, yes, and to not waver on that, like you said, because sometimes somebody will try to. There's no doubt people are here going to try to push your boundaries, right? But if you're
Yes,
consistent to it and you stick to it, that's very important. And
yes,
Jess says,
yes.
I set a boundary today, I guess. A friend was putting down my best friend, and I told her to stop, and I ended the conversation. Oh no, yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah, that is not cool.
Yeah,
And
that's not
that
good.
is definitely a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we have conversations with people
Mm-hmm.
and they want to bring up other people in a really weird, derogatory, negative,
Right.
gossipy kind of way, I'm not, I don't like that at all. And so
No,
I have no
no.
problem saying to someone, you know what, please keep that person out of our conversation. If you
Yes,
have something to say about that person, please go speak to them. I'm not that kind of a person. Now,
yes.
if someone comes to me and they're sharing, some feelings they're having or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it just so
Mm-hmm.
happens to be about
Mm-hmm.
another person, to me that's different, right? They're wanting my
Right.
advice, wanting some help, to be like, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. They may not even mention a
Right.
name. They're just like, I'm experiencing this with whatever.
Right.
Well, that's different,
Right.
right? Because
Exactly.
that's advice versus
Exactly.
gossip. And so that's a really good thing to
Yes.
point out, because
Yes.
you don't want
Yes.
to tolerate that. People
You
being
don't.
nasty
You
to
don't.
one another. That's not cool.
No, it's
uh,
not. And it's so disrespectful. It's very disrespectful. Mama T says, my son is so disrespectful that she actually feels good about it. And you know
oh
what, Mama
yeah.
T? And that's, yeah. We have children. So we know,
Yes, we
we
do.
know.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially when our children become of a certain age, they're feeling themselves, and we don't know anything.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
So I understand that. It's
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard.
it's very hard.
And especially you will not tolerate disrespect from your child or anyone else. So
Mm-mm.
right, I understand that. Yes, yes, you just get tired.
Frog and Toad, Moira.
Oh,
Frog and Toad. I love those books from when I was a kid.
yes,
Um,
the frog and toad.
and they were like best friends, and you can imagine the boundaries they
Yes,
had to set with each other. Although, if anybody read the
yes.
childhood book, sometimes they had a little like, I don't want to do this, and da da da. So it kind
Right,
of goes back to that
right,
boundary thing, right? But
right,
back to
right.
what Mama T was saying, I would say probably some of the hardest boundaries I've ever had to set were with family members.
Hmm.
Family is just a
Yes,
different
that's a
thing.
whole different beast.
It's a whole different beast because you have that really close kinship, that connection,
Mhm, mhm.
your blood, for, and I don't, not all family has to be blood, but I'm just saying,
No, but
like you're
yes,
close with them. And
yes.
I would say, just for me personally, I would say some of the hardest ones have been family. And I find myself still establishing those boundaries and trying to uh
Mhm,
make people
mhm.
understand where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to shut you out. If anything, I'm trying to develop a healthier relationship with you if you would just allow me to. But there are certain family members who are so like boxed in and closed minded.
Yes,
They're like, well,
yes,
what do you mean? We've always done
yes,
it this way, or I've always done it. It's like, okay, but like, I'm asking you not to do this. I'm asking you
yes,
not to talk about this.
yes,
And
yes.
again, like if they just keep bringing it up and not um, respecting your boundaries, then sometimes even family members, such as Mama T just said, you have to shut them out, and that's really hard. That's
It's
really
very
hard.
hard. Mama
Yeah.
T says she has 5 children. That's yeah.
Oh, 5 children. Okay.
Yes, wow.
Yeah.
I only have one.
I have
One and
two.
only.
I have two boys, two teenage boys. Elizabeth says, with family, you have to be ghetto sometimes.
Ghetto
Yes,
sometimes.
it's
Yes,
true.
Elizabeth.
Yes. It's yes, she understands. Yes,
Yes, you got to
because
be ghetto with
otherwise
it.
they're not right. Otherwise, they don't take you seriously. It's like,
Right.
hello. It's like,
Right.
maybe you didn't
Exactly.
hear me the first time.
Exactly. Like Elizabeth said, I said no. And
Yeah.
then see that Elizabeth, for me, it has a few other words on the end of that. I say
Yep.
no. Da, 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 da.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, that's so
Ooh,
true.
yeah,
So true.
you know the mouth. The mouth happens.
um
Ah.
Just says, I've given no contact with a few family members
Mhm,
or family,
mhm.
I think members. They don't respect me or the choice I made. My mom was dying. Oh,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
You
that's
know, Jess, when my mother passed, I do have siblings. I have an older sister and an older brother from my dad, and I was the youngest. And my mother only had me. So I'm the only one to make those decisions. And I made all the decisions to what I knew her wishes, I knew what she wanted. And I made those decisions. And, there were people who were like, well, we want you to do this and you need to do this. And I'm like, first of all, that was my mother. And you're not going to tell. And where are those people right now? I haven't seen or heard from them in 4 years. So go figure, right? But yeah, we always can't. And I'm so sorry, that happened to you during that time because that's a very stressful time to begin with. And you're dealing with so much, being a caregiver or going back and forth and doing
yes.
things. And you don't need people to, you know, not go with your boundaries.
Hmm.
You
Right.
know what's best at that time, and they don't know what maybe your mother's wishes were, or what she wanted, or what you and her talked about. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard sometimes. It's very hard.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
find with, very sensitive times such as funerals, weddings, things like that, right? Those are where I find, family members or maybe even people outside want to kind of test you and like kind of push your boundaries a little bit more because they know you're
Yes.
vulnerable. They know that
Yes.
you're weak essentially because we are. We're we're
Yes.
hurting, and we
Yes.
are grieving, and so therefore, our guard might be a little bit more down. Yeah,
Mhm,
but at the
mhm,
same
mhm.
time, I think that's maybe when we really should have our guard up, because that is where people would like to take advantage of us sometimes. So I'm sorry to hear that, Jess, but I'm glad that you have established that boundary now, so that they can't
Yes,
continue to hurt
yes,
you.
yes.
um, Hilda says, one of my biggest lessons was boundaries after I learned life so much better now. Yeah,
Yes, it's
exactly.
so much better. And
Elizabeth.
Mama T said things are peaceful.
Oh, okay. They're peaceful now that you've established that.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Elizabeth,
And
no
let's see.
PG at my house. It comes out in English, Spanish, and sometimes even
Yes,
make believe
Elizabeth,
words from my
in all
childhood.
languages. Right, in
Yes.
all languages. Ah, yes, it
Mm.
does. John, I did notice you weren't here, John. Did you bring us some food, John? We need food.
John, where's those apples? You had apples the other night. Where are they? um,
Ah, so, yes,
yes,
yes.
I'm totally at peace without them. My kids still say, yeah. Whew,
Hmm,
I know.
hmm.
Sometimes, listen, boundary setting, wow, it's not easy. It really isn't. But if we allow toxic energy, to continue to sort of be around us in our lives,
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
it's just going to
yes.
fester into some really unhealthy relationships. And unfortunately, some relationships we have to, like you said, sever altogether. And that's really hard. Um,
Yes, yes. Hey, Miss Tarot D.
Miss Tara
Um,
B. Hey. Mwah.
let's see.
John, the food's in his tummy. Okay, you don't need it.
Ah, and Jess says, like me, Jess was the only child, and she needed help. She couldn't do it on her own, and she needed help, and they wouldn't help her.
Oh,
And
shoot.
yeah, and so now, Jess, this is now the time. I don't know how long it's been for you. On Saturday will be 4 years since my mommy passed,
Yeah.
and I my relatives who live here in North Carolina, they're not my blood relatives, but they have been in my life since some of them before they were born, and my mother's godchildren and such. And so I consider them family. They call my mother Aunt Jewel. I'm their god sister, cousin, everything. Zoe calls them aunt, uncle, all of that. And I don't hear from them. And I'm always the one to make the first move. But when my mother was sick, I have to say, they were there. They came to the hospital, they came to the hospice, they brought me food. One of them paid for my mother's ashes. I did not ask them to, and they did. And I was very grateful for all of that. But sometimes you have those people that do things and then they want to hold things over your head. And
Yeah.
that's when you also have to set a boundary. And now I don't have a relationship with them. And it's sad, it's sad, but listen, I am getting ready to be 61 in 2 months now. I'm living my best life.
Yep.
And I don't need that. You don't need that stress. I don't need the people pleasing. And I am not an ass kisser by any means. And so we're just not going to do that. And so we just don't. But it's unfortunate that when somebody passes, these things just come to a head. Like Fatima said with her other siblings, people get so crazy when someone passes away. And I know that for my daughter, for instance, her father passed away in February. And his memorial service is going to be next week.
Yeah.
I think week after next week. And there's so much going on there. And it's a lot of hateful things going on. And my daughter's like, Mommy, I don't want anything to do with any of it. And she's kind of stayed herself away, but she
Hmm.
has other siblings and with her father. And the things that are being done, it's just they're hateful things, and the person is gone now. And whether they were there or not, because they weren't there for any of their children, which is that's a whole nother Oprah show. But it's like when people pass, Fatima, it's like the devil comes out in the woodworks.
Right.
So yeah,
I hear
and
that.
it's so unfortunate.
Oh, hey, Sally. Hey,
Hi there, Sally.
thanks for being here. It's good to see you.
Yes, I owe you. I know I owe you a phone call.
Yes, catch up, girl. I just want to lots of good chat. Thank you all for being here. But Miss Taro D also said, by the way, today is the day my own mother passed away. Interesting that we're talking about this. Wow,
Yes, wow.
Miss Taro D.
Yes, Miss Terrell D, sending you so much love. It seems like, you were June 1st and my mom was June 7th. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. Oh,
okay.
Mama T. Thank you, Mama T. We have fun here, but we also come with the real raw and honest and serious
Yeah,
topics because everybody needs to know. Everybody doesn't know how to navigate certain things. Everybody doesn't know how to navigate certain things.
yeah.
So,
That is true. That is
yes,
true.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so to get back to some of the actual boundary talk. So there are different types of boundaries. So, I was reading through some of the books. Obviously, that's what we're talking about, the books, but I made a few notes. So, healthy boundaries and unhealthy. So, there's unhealthy. And what I mean by unhealthy is we can have certain boundaries that are really rigid and controlling and shut off and guarded. You know what I mean? Like we can say
Hmm.
things like don't call me after a certain time. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
well, okay, you could just word it by saying, by the way, I don't answer my phone after 9 p.m. Okay, that's a
Yes.
much nicer way of saying it. So that a
Yes.
healthy way would just be saying like I don't answer my phone after 9, but you're welcome to still leave me a message and I'll get back to you when I can. And like a
Hmm.
rigid and controlling boundary would be like don't call me after 9. It's like, oh, okay then. You know what I mean? So there is a way. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So in establishing boundaries, it's also important to word it in a way that's healthy.
Yes.
And healthy boundaries also include um, value your own opinions and don't compromise values for others, right? So it goes back to knowing what are your
Mhm.
values. When you're creating these boundaries, you have to know that in order to establish them. um, Share personal information in an appropriate way for the context of the relationship or situation. You may find yourself in a relationship, whether it be like a coworker or a cohort at school or a friend or an acquaintance online, and they are very inappropriate in sharing certain things with you, and that might not be okay with you, and you have to establish that to say, hey, look, I can appreciate that you're going through this, but this is a lot. I can't take that on.
Mhm.
Or some people are just absolutely inappropriate in sharing things with you that you just don't feel comfortable hearing, such as maybe what they do in the bedroom with their partner. I'm just using this as an example,
Mhm.
right? I
Mhm.
mean, there's certain things that we're just not comfortable hearing, and we're like, whoa, hey, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I don't want to hear that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Healthy boundaries also include knowing your personal wants and needs, and making sure that you communicate them. That kind of ties back into your values as well. And then accepting when others say no, and
Mhm.
also saying no to others. So when someone says no to you, you have to respect that. And when
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
learn how to say no to someone else, saying no is a whole nother Oprah show.
Yes. Yes.
And actually, Lexi has a video that she created called that says saying yes when you really mean no. And that is
Yes.
what we're talking about here is
Mhm.
I'm sure we're all guilty of it. I know I definitely am. Agreeing to something when you really didn't want to. And
Want
that
to.
imposes on your time.
Yes.
So it's a practice though. Um
Yeah. It's a definite practice. And I wanted to add too, also in that, prioritizing your well-being.
yes.
In unhealthy and with unhealthy boundaries, you have to honor your worth and remind yourself that setting a boundary is an act of self-respect and self-care.
Yeah.
It's for your own good to set a boundary. And that's really important, and to engage in activities that kind of reduce your stress and boost a happy mood when you know that you have to set a boundary when you're in a situation that's unhealthy, for you. How to take care of yourself. How to take care of yourself. That's
Yeah.
very, very important. very important.
Well,
And
there you
learn
go.
to walk away.
Mm,
Because in some cases, if a person is consistently disrespecting you and your boundaries and doesn't show a willingness at all to change, it's
yeah.
okay to walk away from that relationship for your own well-being. And like
Hmm.
Ange just said, I did do that video on, saying no, saying yes when you really mean no. And no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody any explanations for any of the boundaries that you're setting for yourself
Yeah.
or the self care and the self preservation that you have to have for yourself.
Hmm.
And like Ann said, there's a way to say things, there's a way to put things to be respectful,
Yeah.
but sometimes that goes above somebody's head sometimes. And you just have to take care of yourself at that point. You
Yeah.
just have to take care of yourself at that point.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing to like meet someone where they're at, but then
Yes.
maybe where they're at is not a place that you can get to yourself or that you can help them on that level, right? I mean,
Right.
remember, like when people come to us, whether again, I always say, coworkers or cohorts
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
friends or acquaintances, we're not therapists. I mean, most of us, I'm
No.
not a therapist. I'm not
Right.
a therapist. And even if I was, I'm not going to be a therapist for my friend. I would want my friend to go seek someone else for a therapist because
Yes.
that you have to separate the professional life from your
Yes.
personal life, right?
Yes.
And so although we definitely want to try and be there for one another, to hold space for one another, to whatever in terms of that, sometimes it becomes too much and you're like, I can't do this. I feel like I'm drowning. Like I can't hold this for you anymore. You're going to have to go seek some help somewhere else. And if people
Yes.
can't respect that, then again, it's another one of those situations where unfortunately you'll have to cut them off. um
Yes.
there are uh some
Yes.
comments
There's some
here.
comments.
Yeah, Sally, exactly. It's all about the verbiage and tone of the voice. I agree.
Yes.
It's not what you say, it's how
Yes.
you say it. Janet says, I just don't answer my phone, period. Exactly.
Right, Janet.
Janet.
Janet, you got it, girl. That's me. I don't answer my phone. Like,
Oh,
sorry,
honestly,
not
I
tomorrow.
never have so I don't ever have my ringer on, so I never hear it ring. I
Right.
never
I
hear
never do either.
anything. No. So but having said that, like I check it, frequently throughout the day. Where whenever I get around to it, but I don't have the noises going off, so I can understand that. Yes, Mama T, healthy boundaries is what's needed.
Yes.
Exactly. And just like we
Yes.
went over, and I'll go over some types of boundaries here in just a moment. I just want to get caught up in chat so we don't miss anything. No is a complete sentence, so don't keep asking for boundaries. Hey, Hilda. Hilda, Hilda. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Communication is key.
Hmm.
Sally, and you're so awesome. I love listening to you talk. You need a podcast. Sally, actually, Hilda in the chat wants me to get on the podcast with her. So maybe that'll be happening. I don't know. I'll see. Maru, TMI is my favorite boundary rule, right? Yeah, too much of her. Sometimes I'll say that too. Even if I'm talking to Lexi, I'm like, hey, Lexi, I know this is too much information, but I got to tell you, she's like, Ange, what are you talking about? Oh my God.
We have already crossed those boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah,
close
we
friends with
crossed.
people, you talk about all
We
kinds of
crossed.
bowel movements and everything else. Whatever.
Yeah.
But again, that's different though, right? Because like if you establish a friendship and people are like, oh, because you don't know
Yeah.
at first with a new friend, you're like, okay, I know this is like whatever, and then you're like, whatever, shit happens. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Elizabeth says
okay.
saying no to them is saying yes to yourself. I don't get tired of saying that.
Yes.
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 Woo, I need a T-shirt that says that.
Yes.
I love
That's
that.
a good epitaph right there, Elizabeth.
I'd rather not, so I'm not going to works well. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Just basically saying like I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want
Right.
to. Yeah, exactly. Being aware of what disrespect is, my children taught me well. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
Yes, Miss Charity. Horton the elephant. I meant what I said and I said
And
what
I
I meant.
said what
Yeah.
I meant. And
Yes.
what do
Yes.
I say all the time too? I say that all the time in my videos.
We are
I
here.
said what I mean, and I mean what I say.
Yep. Silence
Yes.
is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes silence is I what is the saying? No response is a response.
Yes.
Some,
That's a big response.
sometimes there's that too. Yeah, intimacy is earned. I
Yes.
agree.
Yes.
Sally, Angie, you know I'm one of your biggest fans. Oh, Sally. Sally, by the way, I'm so proud of you. Everyone, Sally is quitting smoking, or she has quit smoking. And
Yes.
Sally, drop
She
it
did a
in
cute
the chat. How many days
video.
has it been? I know that's not easy, so I'm just giving you so much strength. I'm so proud
Yes.
of you. That is
Yes.
not
Sally did a
easy.
cute video where she was smoking. She was acting and she was doing her thing. It was so cute.
My boss said, "How could you be on Do Not Disturb all the time?" I'm like, "You wouldn't
Mhm.
know that if you wouldn't call my personal phone.
Right.
Call my
And
work
then,
phone, damn it."
Elizabeth, you
Yes.
shouldn't even answer the personal phone then. I wouldn't even answer. I'm like not answering. I'm not answering.
Hey,
You know,
Maria.
my oh hey there. Hey
Mm.
Maria.
Sorry, Lex, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, no. I was saying, going back to working, when I worked, it has been this month, June 13th, will make 11 years since I lost my job.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
downsized. My position was eliminated. And but my boss, I had a boss who, and they are all deceased now, by the way. So I'm glad that my position was eliminated. And
Mm,
um my boss would, if we were having lunch, I started bringing my lunch and going sitting in my car or driving away to have lunch,
mm-hmm.
because I would have lunch there in the break room and then they come in during lunch break. I need this,
Yes.
I need that, blah blah blah. Okay, we haven't, last time I checked, it was a time clock that I had to punch out.
Yep. Yep.
So I am not working on my lunch break, and
No.
this is how you chose to run your establishment, so don't come and ask me questions. Or I'm home on my day off and somebody's calling me. It's my day off. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing bugs me.
Oh,
Those, you really have
yes.
to set boundaries at a job, and especially with a boss. I'm sorry, I'm not at your beck and call. When
Yeah.
I'm not here, I'm not here. Now, if it's that, I mean, if the building is on fire, then call 911.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call me. I'll be back in a couple days and then we can discuss whatever you is a problem. It's not that serious. But for them, it's like they want you right now.
Yeah.
Me, now, now, now.
Yeah.
And like, no, you have to set that boundary. No,
That's right.
absolutely
That's right.
not.
And that's a really great point to bring up, because not only at the workplace but in general, like, how are you going to allow people to have access to you all the time? Are you going to allow everyone to just access Lexi like 24/7? No, you're not. And so, yeah, we do have to
Yes.
establish these specific, and the same way when
Mhm.
I worked at the pharmacy, nope, I take my lunch. I don't care how hot it was
Yes.
outside, how cold it was outside.
Yes,
I'd go sit in my
Ange.
car. Yep. And I'm
Yes.
like, no, I'm literally,
No.
I had to get out of the building, away from the
Yes.
environment, because we had
Yes.
overhead speakers and everything else. And like, they'd page you to the pharmacy. I'm like, I am not here
Right.
right now.
Right.
Like,
Right.
please. Um,
Right.
Miss Charity says, wonderful, Sally. One of the most difficult addictions. Yes. But even if you have
Yes.
one day, that is amazing accomplishment. Yeah. Sending healing and energy. I'm sure that Sally's already done this, but Sally, it's always really amazes me when we go and we look at the list of improvements to our health. Like, if you stop smoking for one day, for 1 week, for
Mhm.
1 month, and how you make
Yes.
these like drastic improvements to your health, like your physical health, is like
Yes.
amazing. So good for
Yes.
you. John says, my boss sometimes he does a number two, and I'm working at the front of the customer's house. I would say, oh no. Doing it at the customer's house? Oh, oh
Oh,
no.
John,
That's
that
so
is so rude and disrespectful. That is so rude. Your boss, that is so. John,
I hope he brings that poopery spray at least,
I
dang
hope
it.
he does too. I think that's a gift you need to get him, John. Some poopery.
Yes. Search it out. Google it.
Yeah,
Um,
Google poopery. Ah.
I put a sign on the break room door, no work area. People are not allowed to talk about work here. And if it's
Mhm.
important, you have to step out of the room. So yes, don't make it toxic.
Yes.
Thank you. Because even
Yes.
the few times that I did stay in the lunchroom, because I kind of didn't have a choice. Like, it was some frigid temperatures. I'm like,
Mhm.
I kind of
Mhm.
have to.
Mhm.
um they would be talking about work. Oh, did you hear about so and so? I'm like, oh, please, like, I do not want to hear about any of this right
No.
now.
No.
Oh, Janet, when my sister didn't want to hear it on the phone with friends, that blab, she said, cat's on fire, gotta go. I
I love
loved it.
that, Janet.
Oh,
Ah, I'll have to do that about ma'am. But
yeah.
I don't answer my phone anyway, so
Jess, I'm glad I work at home because when I go on break, I'm on break. Don't, but yeah, I work from home too. I love it. I love it. People can grow hair on them when you allow too much access to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Like, and
Hmm.
that is a very strong
Hmm.
boundary. So just to go back really quick to what types of boundaries there are, so people might not understand, but there are different types. So there's
Yes.
physical boundaries, like physical space. Maybe somebody is too close to you. That's a boundary. Like,
Hmm.
hey, whoa, like back up. That's so physical touch, physical space, that kind of thing. Like, don't touch me, don't come too close to me. The other type of boundary is intellectual. So that's like your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Sometimes people want to impose those on you. For example, their thoughts and opinions maybe about the political candidates or the political parties. That's a big one right now in the world. And
Yes.
it seems like people are either on one side or another, or there's this sort of gray area where people are like, I don't want to hear it, kind of thing. And yeah, some people really are very fired up and very opinionated about what they believe.
Yes,
And of course,
exactly.
we hear that all the time, about in terms
Hmm.
of politics, religion, things like that, right? It's their beliefs and things. Then there's
Yes.
also emotional boundaries. This is a big one.
Mm.
This is how you share your feelings and your emotional energy to others. Okay. Some of us are emotionally dysregulated, right? We
Hmm.
don't know how to properly control our emotions.
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes look, there's various times in our life where we will like be grieving, or I mean, there's various other examples out there where our emotions might be a little out of whack, and that's okay. You know what I mean? People will hold space for you, and they understand that you're in a situation where maybe there's some trauma involved or
Hmm.
whatnot, right? But I mean, like, there are some people who just in general, like, they just are very inappropriate with how they
Yeah.
express their emotions. And that is another boundary we have to have with people.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. And I want to add to that, Ange,
yeah, of
you have
course.
to be aware of manipulation tactics.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Um,
Yeah.
you have to recognize those behaviors. Like, we've dealt with something like this before where uh, a psychological urgency, or the constant attempts to capture your attention and all of that. And that's just those things are often used to push a boundary, right?
Yeah.
To push a boundary, because 9 times out of 10 you set a boundary with those specific people. And so yes, you have to look out for those things, and just set clear
Mhm.
structures. Just set a
Yes.
clear structure for yourself, and especially in a work environment, set a time for work and time for your personal time. So there's no, this way, to avoid being constantly available.
Yes.
Because once you're always constantly available, they're like, oh, well, there's no
Mhm.
boundary. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep pushing that. I'm going to keep poking that bear, and I'm going to keep calling, and I'm going to keep texting, and I'm going to
Sure.
keep this, and this.
Yeah. Some people will take what they can get for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can lead to that can lead to a lot of not good things.
Yes.
I just want to touch on the physical
Mm-hmm.
boundary, and
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth said, "Don't touch my hair." Thank you. You can
Oh,
imagine my whole life I've had this, right? Because I've always had long
yes.
hair, and people was,
Yes.
oh, and now I have had many people say, "Can I touch your hair?" And I'd
Mm-hmm.
say no.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
Uh-huh.
people that just come up and touch your hair, and you're like, and it
Oh
makes
yeah.
you jump, like, hey, this is an extension of me. Don't touch my
Right.
hair. Don't
Don't
touch
touch it.
me.
Don't.
Like, people are just
Don't.
weird sometimes, and you're like,
Well,
what is
they
going on?
are. They do that to me all the time. And if my hair is shaved, they want to touch it because they're like, oh, does that feel
Yeah,
fuzzy? Does that feel, get away from me? Get the what out of here. Get the fuck out of here with
exactly.
that shit.
Right.
And yeah, Elizabeth, speaking of that, I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
the opposite side of that too is when you're pregnant
Oh my
and somebody
gosh.
wants to rub your belly all the time. I don't know you. Do not touch me and do
Ew.
not touch my stomach. Like, don't come
Ew.
near me.
No.
Don't come near
I
me.
remember that. Oh my gosh, I remember because
Yes.
I was big, like with my
Me
boys, like I was
too.
like
Me
water
too.
retention, and people are like, oh,
Yes.
and they want to come up and like not even. I'm like,
Yes.
oh
It's like,
no. Or
right. Like,
when you
no.
have those babies and you're pushing them around in the cart, and people want
Oh,
to come up and touch your baby, I will
yes. That's a,
listen.
oh, yeah.
No,
Let me
don't
tell you.
touch my kids, man.
Yeah.
No,
Zoe was like, I mean, she was,
no.
people would be like, oh my God, I didn't mean to make her cry. I'm like, yeah, get out of her personal space.
Like, first of all, if they're
Don't go up
babies,
in
you're
my
gonna make them
baby's face.
sick. Like you have to
Yes.
protect them from that too, right?
Yes.
And you just
Yes.
don't want people touching your kids. You don't know where their hands have been.
No.
Ew.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Exactly.
Janet. Yeah. And Janet says,
Yeah.
"Get in my space, and you're gonna hear it." Yeah, Janet,
Yeah.
I know.
That's right.
Jess says, I worked in a call center, had a creepy coworker put his hand on my shoulder and squeezed it. I yelled, "Whoa, don't touch me," through the whole center, and he learned my boundary. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
Well,
that's
you
the
know
best
what,
thing
Jess?
too. Like
Yes.
to get someone's attention. Like, hey, whoa,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. And that's a form of sexual harassment. And I've dealt with that in the past at work too. I had a gentleman who, whenever his wife, he was, so I worked for a timeshare for Divvy Hotels in the Virgin Islands.
Oh,
And he was somebody who worked on the property there. I don't even remember this man's name. And he had a wife. She was the sweetest person ever. Oh, he ran the car rental. And his wife, she was so sweet. But when she wasn't around, he would do just, I mean, the crass talking in front of me, or coming over and rubbing my back or rubbing my shoulders, that kind of thing.
ew,
That
no.
is a form of sexual harassment. And this was back
Yes,
in
it
the 80s,
is.
mind you. This was back in
Yes.
the 80s. This was way before Me Too and all these things that happen now. And yeah, it's like, no, don't touch me. Get away from me.
No.
And yeah, yeah, that's a big boundary.
That is, and luckily, in the United States and in Canada, we have very, very strict rules and laws in
Yes,
terms of that,
yes. Now
in
we
the
do.
especially in the
Yes,
workplace, but in general, of course.
yes,
So that leads us to the next boundary is sexual. Yeah, so privacy, consent, and desires. So that's a big boundary as well. We also have boundaries over material possessions, right?
yes,
Who do you allow in your home? Who do you allow to drive your car? Who do you allow to touch your phone, or your material possessions? And then of course the boundary of time. And for me, that would probably be like one of my top boundaries, because time is so precious. You only have so much of it, and you only have so much of it to give to
yes,
others,
yes,
and
yes,
prioritizing that is very important. And I've come a long, long way with this. I'm still a work in progress. And I feel, and that's another thing I want to point out. Boundaries are a practice. Okay, don't ever think that you've got it all figured out. No, boundaries are a
no,
continuous
you never
practice,
will.
because your
Right.
boundaries are going to fluctuate, and they're going to change depending on the person that you're establishing these boundaries with, right? And our relationships are always changing and growing or falling away or whatever in life, right? So therefore our boundaries must change and fluctuate with us. um
Yes.
Elizabeth, I'm going to put together an elevator pitch. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Here are my list of don'ts. That's right. Exactly.
Yes,
Some
yes.
people push to see how far they can push. Oof. My God.
Mhm.
And why? I don't like that. I don't like when
Right,
people do that.
right.
Female kept getting in
Yes.
my space trying to get me to listen and touched my arm. The whole store heard me. Exactly. Don't touch me.
Right,
I don't like
don't.
that either. Um,
Yes.
oh, but you're supposed to be a spiritual person, Miss Jody, right? Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Yeah, Sally, look, I don't even like people touching my dog. Exactly. Exactly.
Right, right,
Mama T, can I hold the baby? Sure. Wash your hands first, right? Yeah.
right, right.
He got fired for looking at spicy films at work. He was a pastor. Oop.
Well, that
Um,
wasn't good.
no. Proud of my oldest daughter. She told the whole family kissing my kids is off limits. The men were kissing on the lips. Ew.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we have to continue to work on ourselves. You're right. Yeah, and that's what boundaries are,
Yes.
right? They're a part of
Yes.
that. Yeah. Because our self-care, right? That's always like it's a progress, and it's a practice, and this is part of that, right?
Right.
Clear boundaries everyone gets to know when practicing regularly. There you go. Bingo. Some know exactly what to
Yes.
do. Yeah, some know
Yes.
exactly what, yeah, some people are just creep standard. I
Yes.
agree. I agree. Um, I have a few favorite boundary quotes. One is from Brene Brown, of course, because I love Brene Brown. She says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. We can't base our own worthiness on others' approval. And this is coming from someone who spent years people pleasing. Only when we believe deep down that we are enough can we say enough. Ah, that's so good.
Yes. Yes. So good. So good. I have a couple of those too.
You have some quotes?
Jody
Oh,
Picoult.
yeah. Yay.
Yeah, Jody Picoult, who's a writer, and she says setting boundaries is not a sign of selfishness, but an act of self-respect.
Yes.
And there's another. Brene Brown says a lot, but
I
she
know.
says, yeah, she says a lot. Like she says, boundaries define our limits and protect our inner peace.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
For
yes,
sure.
yes.
There's a quote from Anna Taylor that says, love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. You teach people how to
Mhm.
treat you by deciding what you will and will not accept. Boom.
Yes,
Simple. That's it, right?
yes.
Exactly.
Which people know that. They don't know how to practice that. And there's one here, Shannon Alder, and she said, every woman that finally figured out her worth has picked up suitcases of pride and boarded a flight to freedom, which landed in the Valley of Change. And I
Mhm.
love that so much
That's
because
beautiful.
once you know your worth, it's that's a game changer right there.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
game changer
And knowing your worth
because
is part of
yeah.
knowing your values, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you feel like you don't have the right to say no and all of these things, and maybe things that are passed down from generations, because your mother never said no, or your mother told you, oh, we can't, we have to do this and we have to do that. Well, no, we really don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really don't.
I agree. I agree. Miss Tarot D, at work, each and every time you have to ask permission before hugging or touching, even when you're trying to console someone, it's part of our norms because, yes, we work in a trauma informed workplace. Every workplace should be trauma informed. I'll say that again. Every workplace should be trauma informed. Anybody watching that doesn't know what trauma informed is, Google it, look it up. Please be trauma informed yourself. It is very, very important, especially the world that we are living in
Mhm.
right now. We don't want to further harm someone, you know?
Right.
Um, Elizabeth, it's a practice, yes. And sometimes you have a moment where you miss the mark, and that's okay. Be compassionate with yourself. You'll get it next time. Exactly. Right. Because especially when you're newer to creating boundaries, or I should say establishing, like, maintaining the boundaries, right? Sometimes we'll find ourselves sort of falling back into that people pleasing, or falling back into like our old ways, if you will. And like you said, that's okay. Like, just pick yourself
Hmm.
back up
Hmm.
again and just know for next time, you're like, okay, once you say like yes to something and you go and you do it, and you're like, oh, okay, that boundary, why did I say yes when I really meant no? And I'm not going to do
Yes.
this again because I
Yes.
feel very uncomfortable in the situation, or I took on too much work, or whatever the situation is, right? So I agree with that.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
We have
Lila.
some new people here in the chat.
Hey.
Lila is here in the chat, and my beautiful
Hey.
friend Mary, Mary Willoughby. Mary lives in Phoenix, and
Oh,
Mary
Mary.
and I worked together
Oh,
at the census. And Mary is my beautiful, dear, dear friend. We've been friends for 25
oh
years.
my gosh. Hey, Mary. It's nice to meet
Yes,
you. I love that. There's another person,
yes.
Flocka 8, FLAC, Flocka 8. Hello.
Hello,
Hi, will I
Flocka.
get a job this month? Oh, we're not doing readings. Actually, we will be offering a reading at the end, but it's a collective
Yes, it'll
reading.
be a general though.
Um, I have been telling people more and more I don't hug. I'm proud of myself. Okay, because you hate hugs. See, that's
Mhm.
really important, Jess. See,
Mhm.
I'm a hugger. But I completely 1,000% respect people that are
Yes.
not, right?
Yes.
And so I always
Yes.
will be like, "Can I give you a hug?" And if someone's like, "No," I'm like, "I
Yes.
don't take offense." And I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
cool." I'm like, "What about a fist bump?"
Right.
Fist bump, cool.
Right. And that's
Right.
me too. I'm a touchy feely hugger, everything.
Yeah, I give
I
really good hugs, by the way, really good.
am. Yes, me too.
Maria, Maria says I tried. I used to do karate moves when someone tried to touch me. Right? Like, get.
I always
Um,
tease my daughter. I'm like, you come near me, I'm gonna punch you in the throat. I'm just
yeah,
gonna punch you in the throat. That's
that's
all it is, and that'll stop you, right?
Hilda says one has to learn boundaries in online spaces. Ooh, that's an important. Okay, that's an important thing to
Yes.
bring up because you're right. So boundaries, when we set them, the environment very much does matter, right?
Mhm.
Setting a boundary with somebody in person versus online, that can be a very different thing, right? But the main key component to it is communication, right? Communicating
Yes.
your needs and your wants and what exactly your boundary is, um
Yeah.
I would definitely though say that there are some boundaries where I dare I say, like, they're kind of implied. You know what I mean? Like, if
Mhm.
you're messaging me over and over and over and over
Ugh.
again, and I'm not responding to you,
Yeah.
there's probably a reason for that. I just need a break.
Mhm.
I can't help
Mhm.
you right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
So I would say in some situations like that, sometimes it can be implied. Again, no response is a
Yes.
response. Silence is a boundary. Kind of everything that other people in the chat were just saying as well, right?
Yes.
So I think it just depends on the situation. But yes, online spaces are a little bit
Well, and
trickier.
yes, yeah, and it does. I have a friend who, well, I'm gonna say acquaintance, really. Um, but
Okay.
she will call me and she will call 8 times in a row. If I don't answer, she will just keep calling and calling and calling and calling. If I didn't answer you that first time that you rang my phone, what makes you think I'm going to answer it the eighth time that you rang my phone? And
Oof.
so then after days go by and I finally say, let me call this chick. And it's like, what was it? Well, what have you been doing? Okay, I was in my skin minding my business. Like, don't I that I can't say. And this is somebody who's in their 60s, okay? Or she might even be in her 70s because she's older than me. Like, don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
If it's a true emergency, that's one thing, right?
Right. And she
Um,
lives in another state. If it was a true emergency, I can't help her anyway.
yeah,
Call
yeah,
911.
yeah. Okay, true enough, true enough, true enough. Miss Charity says, I knew a woman who would tell her kids to hug people whenever they met someone. She tried it with me, and I straight up said, "Sorry, I don't hug kids, and I really don't know you that way." Yes, because yep, because you never know, right?
Yes.
What?
That's a slippery slope right there.
Yep. Online is harder. I agree, Elizabeth. I agree. Um, Janet, my mom and dad were not huggers, so I'm not much huggy, but a hug from people who know me well doesn't offend me. Yeah, exactly, right?
Yes,
It would definitely
yes,
depend on the,
yes.
yeah.
Miss Geraldine, I'm gonna come to the Bronx, and I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm coming to the Bronx. I'm coming tomorrow.
Oh, that was me, Lexi, and I'm in my 70s. Mama T, 911, really? I'm sleeping. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my
Ah,
gosh, I love this. I love this.
ah. I do too. I do too.
This is great conversations, important conversations too, right? Because,
Yes,
yeah.
very important conversations. Very important.
I wrote down a few things about, how to apply some of the work that I've been reading in both of these books. Like, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
give you um just some tips. So, for example, if I were to apply what I've learned out of the book of boundaries, I wrote down a few things. How to use clear and direct language when you're setting a boundary. Like, don't be vague in your statements, be firm and be specific.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
example, instead of saying, I'd rather not talk about this, say, I'm not comfortable discussing this topic, so let's move on. right? So
Right.
that shifts the perspective to say, I don't want to talk about this. Someone might say, oh, maybe just right now. She doesn't want to talk about it right now. So they're going to bring it up again. But when you establish that to say, listen, I'm not comfortable with this, then they'll know, oh, okay, I shouldn't bring this up again because you're not comfortable with it, right? Um,
Right.
Also, stick to your limits without over explaining. You don't need to justify your boundaries. A simple no,
No.
that doesn't work for me is enough. Also, recognize boundary pushback. And this, I believe it was Elizabeth that brought that up, that some people don't want to respect your boundaries or they'll push your boundaries. Some people may challenge your limits. Urban emphasizes staying firm and repeating your boundary without apologizing. Urban is, I meant to say Melissa Urban, she's the author of this book.
Yes.
And set work life boundaries. We already talked about that. If work drains your energy, just you got to speak up and let people know. Protecting your emotional space, we touched on that. If someone's negativity
Hmm.
affects you, set boundaries around how often and in what context you're going to engage with them, right? Let's face it,
Right.
some people's energy is just, it doesn't vibe with us, or it doesn't align with us. It doesn't mean we don't like those people. It doesn't mean that we can't still be acquaintances or friends or whatever. It's just that sometimes certain people's energy is draining to us, and that is not a personal thing. That is just like a physical thing, because everybody vibrates on a different frequency, right? And some people drain
Yes.
us more than others. And then
Yes,
one
they
more
do.
thing I wrote about this book is practice boundary scripts. So the book includes pre-written responses for different situations, helping you communicate effectively without guilt. And I think the one thing I love the most about this book is that it gives you those actual prompts that you could use in a real life scenario, in terms of setting boundaries. Um,
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
yeah,
And I wanted to add to that as well. One of the
yeah.
things also, that's something that I've just recently dealt with, is losing a friend, right? And not losing a friend by death or anything, but losing a friend through boundaries.
Oh yeah.
And she says here, Melissa Urban says in the book of Boundaries, losing a friend is hard, especially if the friend is reacting poorly to your boundaries
Mm.
or trying to make it appear as if you're the unreasonable, insensitive, or demanding one. So, how do you know when enough is enough? And
Mm.
she says, when you establish limits to make the relationship a healthy space for you, and someone repeatedly refuses to respect those limits, it's time to end the relationship. And unfortunately, I've had to do that recently. And so it's a sad thing when those, when that happens. But we cannot, it's like what we've been saying all along. Just because somebody's your friend or somebody's your family or somebody's your own parent, you cannot let them be abusive to you when you have set a boundary. And when
Mhm.
they refuse, yes, we can go as far as to say, well, we can let them, but that only goes so far.
Right.
You can't let them take advantage. That's
Right.
not what let them
No,
means.
no, no, no.
And so, yeah, I wanted to add that to that because a lot of people are afraid. They don't want to lose someone or whatever, but then you're going to put up with this for the rest of your life. Every time that
Right.
person calls and
Yeah.
their vampire energy is draining the swamp of you, and you're just going to put up with that all the time. You just can't do that.
No,
You
no.
just can't. And we have to have peace of mind. We have to have peace of mind
I
for
agree.
ourselves.
I agree
Yes.
with that so
Yes.
much. Thank you for bringing that up. That's very important. Hey, Bill. Hi. How are
Hi,
you?
Bill.
I loved your show with Lila last night. That was cool to see you both together. Elizabeth says, I
Yes.
have a name boundary. Don't try to nickname me. Yeah. Can I call you Beth? You can call me Elizabeth. Yeah, exactly. I've seen a
Yes.
lot of people on here do that to you, talking like trying to call you Liz, trying to call you Beth, and you're like, no, that is not my name. And so, yeah.
Right.
And when I
Well,
see people
first of
doing that, I
all,
correct them.
yeah, if they don't know you, then no.
No, right.
I mean, I have a million monikers on this platform, and
Yeah.
I got a million of them. But those are things that I have created, right? So my family all and my besties, they all call me Lex.
Yeah.
My people around me, my work people used to, and that call me Lexi. My name is Alexis. And sometimes I do come on and say, my name is Alexis.
Mhm.
But I don't mind if you call me Lexi or you call me Lex or whatever. But if I have that given you that permission to do so,
Mhm.
have I've said it on here, so you can call me
Right.
Luscious Lexi
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the stuff, right? And that's
Mhm.
okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But did I give you the permission? Like for
Mhm.
Elizabeth, for instance, did she give you the permission to call her Liz or call her Bitsy or Beth or any of those? She didn't give you that permission.
No.
So why do you think you can do that?
Yeah, it's disrespectful.
It's very
Um,
disrespectful.
yeah, so
It's thinking it's like you don't know me that well. You're trying to insert yourself. You don't know me that
yeah, exactly,
well.
exactly. And actually, Lexi and I were talking about the power in a person's name. We were talking about that
Yes.
like privately the other day, and we said, "Oh,
Yes.
that would be a really cool topic to talk about." I love that would be
Yes.
actually we probably should
Yes.
do that one day.
Yes,
But
we should.
yeah, it's very important that you ask somebody, what would you like to be called? What is your prefer, because especially in an online environment where we have all these screen names, what would you some people just want to be called their screen name. That's okay. And then some people will give you their first name. For me, my real name is Angela. But everybody sort of calls me Ange or Angie, but I'll go by
Mhm.
any of those three. Ange,
Mhm.
Angie, Angela. I don't mind.
Mhm.
I don't mind at all.
Mhm.
You can call me any one of just don't call me late for dinner. Okay?
That's
Oh,
right. Don't call late for dinner.
that's right. That's important. Yeah, exactly, Miss Charity. Why do people insist on changing your name? It's weird. It's
Oh,
very bizarre.
it is. Mama T, my name is Alexis with an A. Alexis.
Yeah, Alexis. Not to be confused with the car Lexus, but
Right. Not the
you know.
Lexus.
But they both pricey. They both pricey. I'm
Both
just saying.
pricey. That's right. They both pricey. But Mama T, you can call me Lexi. Everybody here calls me Lexi.
Yeah. Jess says, Elizabeth, I feel the same. If someone tries to call me Jessica, no. Right, it's Jess. Exactly. Yep.
Right. Right.
Maria,
It's
I
like they're
hate when
trying to
someone
dress you down, like
Yeah.
Jessica, like they're trying to be stern, like they're trying to Jessica.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. What is that? Maria, I
Right.
hate when someone tries to call me Mary or Mari. Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
just don't. One time my mom didn't answer, so I drove over in panic. She says, "And you didn't call the paramedics for me?" Well, shit. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. So thanks for grabbing that troll. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, that person was just going on and on. What the hell?
They were.
Anyways, next.
Mama T, it's Lexi with an I. And it's sexy Lexi. And that is sexy with an I and Lexi with an I too.
Yeah, Mary. Some people can't read the room. Oh my God, isn't that the truth? Yes.
Oh yeah. Like know your audience. Know your audience.
Lila, I'm used to nicknames. My Mexican family gives everyone a nickname. Yeah. Oh, Debbie's here. Debbie's witchy vlog. Hey, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
I'm just here for a drink of water. I have some tall grass to remove. Oh, Bill, you're cutting grass. Make sure you stay hydrated. That's right. Is it hot out there out west? Um, yeah, Alexis is classy and royal. I like it too.
Well, thank you.
Alexis. Bill says I don't like the name Will. Oh, I don't either. No offense to any Wills watching, okay? I'm just saying. Maybe it's the whole Dynasty show thing. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Ah. my
Mm.
my uncle was named Wilbur, and my cousin, who was his grandson, was also named Wilbur. So when he got older, and they're both now deceased, so when he got older, when he was a baby, we called him Poppy. But when he got older, he wanted to be called Will. So we called him Will, Chill Will.
I like that. Oh, Bill says I have names I like to call myself, but I find it odd when others call it. So, Bill, I noticed that a lot of times when you're talking about yourself, you'll say
Mhm.
Billy. So you don't like people calling you Billy, but like you don't mind referring to yourself as that?
Self is that. Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering. I would never call you
Mm-hmm.
anything but Bill.
But
I'm just
Bill.
saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, so interesting. All of this conversation. Wow.
I know, it's so good. It's so good.
Okay, let's see. What else have I written down? Well, we talked about applying the book of boundaries. Now, how would we
Yes.
apply the let them theory in our lives? I wrote a
Yes.
few things down. Remember, let them is not letting people get away with anything. It's literally letting them do whatever they're going to do anyway, because we can't control anyone but ourselves.
Right.
So, how would we apply the let them theory in our lives? Well, let go of the need to control. That's the whole point of the book, right? If someone isn't
Right.
behaving the way you'd like, remind yourself, let them. Their choices are not a reflection of you. And by releasing the need to control, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. That is the whole point of this book.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Set healthy boundaries. Protect your energy. This is what we've been talking
Yes.
about this whole
Yes.
time. By saying no to things that drain you. If someone's negativity or drama affects your peace, step back rather than trying to fix them. That's the point.
Right.
Focus on your own growth. Instead of wasting energy worrying about others' actions, direct that energy towards improving yourself, whether it's learning a new skill, exercising, or prioritizing self care. Also, respond, don't react. When someone's behavior frustrates you, pause before reacting emotionally. Ask yourself, is it worth my energy? If not, let it go and move forward. This is huge. The 5 second rule is also something Mel Robbins has written about.
Yes.
Before you respond, you don't have control of how someone like acts, but you do have a choice on how you respond to their actions.
Right.
So please make sure that you are pausing before you respond, because most times when we react, like that knee jerk reaction, we're going to say something we probably regret. Whether it be verbal or written, be careful with how you respond, okay? And because words can never be taken back, right? Embrace non attachment. People will make their own choices. By accepting this, you free yourself from disappointment and resentment, right? So, yeah, it's just, taking, again, I know it sounds kind of like we're repeating ourselves, but again, that was the whole point we wanted to make, is that these books
Right.
combined have
Yes.
these tools that we
Yes.
we found really, really helpful. Like, letting
Yes.
go of, or excuse me, no, that's not what I want to say. Let people be themselves, but you're going to set limits on that engagement. You're going to stop overextending yourself. Energy management through detachment and boundaries. Again, this is all what we're doing here with these two books.
Right.
And saying what you mean and letting go of how others react, and freedom through personal focus, right? So those are all things that I sort of wrote down about my takeaway of working with those two books together. Today in this video, we really just wanted to sort of give you our overall like takeaways, how we've been working with the books, what we think in terms of the information within them. Having said that, now we can go deeper and we can like take specific topics within these books and we can talk more about that. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, please
Mhm.
let us know, because we were thinking about making this into like, I don't want to say a series, but I guess that's what you refer to it as. You know what I mean? We could offer more shows like this, where we kind of dive into specific topics within these books. So if you are
Yes,
watching
exactly.
live, or even if you're watching on playback, comment below and
Mhm.
let us know, because we could probably offer that on both of our channels, on mine and
Yes.
Lexi. So
Yes.
let us know.
Indeed. Indeed. And I also wanted to give some key takeaways too.
Yes.
That of course we already talked about the types of boundaries, the physical, the sexual, intellectual, emotional, and all of that. Also, though, clarity is key when setting a boundary.
Mm,
So you need to be clear. Boundaries must be clearly stated and not hinted at, because you can't expect somebody to know. It's just like you expect somebody to read your mind. You can't expect somebody to know when you just hem and haw. You have to state a clear boundary. Then there's no mistaking. There's no mistaking them saying, "Oh, well, I didn't know." Well, yeah, you didn't know because I wasn't clear, but I did state a clear boundary, so you knew. So that's and being consistent. Being consistent, boundaries are meaningless without consistency, like we've talked about.
hmm.
So, and that's how both of these books come together as well. And the communication,
Yep.
communication. And Sometimes you may have to talk to a friend, to talk, hash something out with a friend, to say, I need to set a boundary with somebody. How does this sound? Or, go to somebody else if you need to and talk to them. But these books are excellent. And I encourage everybody to get them. Go to the library and take these books out, or do an audiobook if you can. And they're not that expensive. I have the hardcovers, but they do come in paperback. Sometimes the hardcover though is cheaper than the paperback, and you can go to thrift books or any of those used bookstores and get these books. They're very, very helpful, and they're very interesting. I love self-help books,
I do
and
too.
I've learned so much from these two books, not to mention that the cover of this book is so textile,
The
and just
tactile.
touching
Oh,
this
it's
is just like,
bumpy. See how
it's
it's
so
bumpy?
bumpy.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
I
so
know.
nice.
There's something about a physical book, right? I love it.
Yes,
Um,
and the smell, like,
Mary was asking what the titles
oh,
of the books are. So this is The Let Them
oh
Theory by
yes,
Mel Robbins.
yes.
And this is the Book of
Angie's is the
Boundaries.
right way. Mine's is not, because my mirroring is not working on mine.
Melissa Urban.
And Melissa Urban is also the co-founder of the Whole 30 Plan, the Whole 30 Diet. I'm sure you all have heard of that. And both
Okay.
of these books, I know they are always in my description of all my videos, but I will list them in the description of this video. I don't know if they may be in there. I think they are,
I
but I'm
think they
not
are.
sure.
I think they are. Yeah. Okay. So as we wrap up, we just want to just share a few things about ways that you can protect your energy. Certainly today, by talking about boundaries and let them, you pretty much have an idea of maybe how you can implement these things in your life. But protecting your energy is all about setting boundaries, right? And it's about being
Mm-hmm.
mindful of what drains you versus what fuels you. So some things that you can do, well, set clear boundaries. We just said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Limit your
Mm-hmm.
exposure to negativity. Practice mindful awareness. Pay attention how you're feeling after you spend time
Mm-hmm.
around certain people or doing certain activities. If something leaves you feeling drained, well, then you need to adjust that accordingly. Prioritize rest and self-care. This is huge. And this is huge, especially for
Mm-hmm.
people like
Mm-hmm.
myself who are go-getters, who are recovering workaholics and things like that,
Yes,
or
yes.
multi-passionate people like myself. Like I have so much to say and so much to share.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, prioritize rest and self care. Recharging physically and mentally through sleep, nourishing foods, movement, and relaxation helps fortify your energy. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Grounding yourself daily, so like meditation. And again, we say, you always hear people say, oh, meditation. Listen, meditation is not for everybody, but I want you to understand that meditation doesn't have to be sitting cross legged on a pillow doing om. You can go for a walk in nature and you're meditating in that way. It's basically checking
Yes.
out from all of this and just sort of getting quiet, and yeah, recharging yourself in that way. Breath work,
Yes.
journaling,
Yes.
anything like that. Focus on what you can control, not what you can't
Mm-hmm.
control,
Mm-hmm.
right? Remember other people's choices and opinions, whatever. That's something we can't control. Let them,
Yes. Yes.
and protecting our emotional space. This is a huge one. Avoid over explaining or justifying your boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for taking care of yourself.
No.
Boom.
Right. You don't. Let's
Yes.
go to the chat. There's a lot going on here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we've got yes, Selena. Selena says that hit hard. She's a recovering workaholic.
I know. So many of us are, Selena, so many
Yes.
of us are. I know. I know.
Janet, thank you so much. I don't know if anybody here follows Nedra Glover Tawab on Instagram. She is absolutely an
Oh,
amazing Black queen.
yes.
Yes. And this is something, Ange, that we should get: Set Boundaries and Find Peace by
Oh,
Nedra.
that's a book that she wrote?
Yes. Yes. So we've
Okay.
got to get that. Thank you, Janet, for mentioning that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, bye, Elizabeth. Thanks
Bye,
for being here.
Elizabeth.
We appreciate you. We love you. Thank
Yes,
you.
Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Miss
Um,
Tarot D. Oh. Poor Miss Tarot D. Did you ever find out what happened to that box?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Someone stole your package.
Yeah, that's that person needed some boundaries. That's what I.
Well, they're not gonna they're not gonna have very good karma with that. That's for sure. Um, So Lexi and I would like to do a three-card tarot spread on protecting your energy. It'll be for like a collective. She'll pull three cards, and I'll pull three cards,
Yes.
like two separate readings, so that we can
Yes.
see what's going on there.
Yes.
But also we have also put together some journal prompts for you for
Yes.
any notebook and pen people out there like myself, little nerds who like to journal. um, yeah, we put together some journal prompts for you. There's 10 of them, and they're all listed below in the description. So, where do I feel my energy being drained the most? What activities, people, or situations leave me feeling exhausted? How do I currently set boundaries, and where do I need stronger ones? What does protecting my energy look like in my daily life? Because it is important to do it daily.
Yes.
Remember, also, protecting your energy can go as well, like before you leave your house, putting up energetic protection around yourself, calling in your spiritual team, right? Because remember, we're susceptible to other people's energy, even going out to the grocery store, right? So that's part of this, right? That's part of your physical boundary, well, and energetic as well. Um, what are three things I can do today to prioritize my well being? How do I feel when I say no to something that doesn't serve me? What limiting beliefs make it hard for me to set boundaries? That's a big one. What energizes me, and how can I incorporate more of that into my routine? How do I respond when someone disregards my boundaries? And number 10, what would my life look like if I fully honored my energy and my needs? Ooh, girl.
Ooh, that would be amazing.
Right, right.
Right. And Mary said something too. Mary said listening to music
Ooh, yes. Yeah.
is a wonderful, and it really is a wonderful way to help yourself and to for self-care and to get peace after dealing with a situation, you know.
Okay. All right. So we have created a three-card tarot spread for you, and it's called Protecting Your Energy. So the first card that we pull is going to represent where is my energy being drained. This card is going to reveal the source of negativity or exhaustion that's currently going on in your life. Number two, how can I protect my energy? This card offers guidance on setting boundaries and maintaining emotional resilience. By the way, emotional resilience is a whole topic of its own. It's very,
Yes.
very interesting in the field of psychology. So if you don't know what it is, I would definitely encourage you to kind of dive down that rabbit hole. And card number three is what energy should I invite in? This card suggests the type of energy that will help you feel more balanced and empowered. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pull some cards for you. And oh, Janet's putting away groceries. Janet, did you buy some groceries to make some more pizzas?
Yeah, Janet makes the good pizza.
Damn, I want some pizza. Actually, no, I just had a huge dinner before I came on here. Mm.
Waiting on the pasta. Hmm. Yes, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
Energy should we invite in? Hmm. Oh my gosh, I pulled all cups. So, whatever's going on in the sort of collective, it is definitely emotionally charged right now. I don't see Karen in the chat, but she could tell us astrologically what the heck's going on, or even if it was Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension. She would be the biggest tell us. Oh. Oh my gosh, you got all majors. Whoa. Okay, girl. Definitely go ahead when you're ready. I'm just gonna pull some oracle to go with.
Drained. The card that spirit assigned to us is the devil. And this card pretty much is saying, your energy is being depleted. So you're being drained of toxic energy and maybe some overindulgence. And so basically, and this is where boundaries is concerned, right? So it's like maybe there's an unhealthy attachment here. And your energy, like I said, is being depleted. So it's time for you basically to get rid of, any negative energies and unhealthy attachments. Make that, set that clear boundary. Set that clear boundary. That's what the devil is telling you. You need to make a change and you need to set that clear boundary. And this is from, these cards are from the Light Seers Tarot deck. That's what these cards are from. And the second card that Spirit gave us was, how can I protect my energy? And the most apropos card, I think, is the Hermit.
Yep.
So, the Hermit is basically telling you, you need to start cutting some cords. You need to start cutting some cords and setting those boundaries, strengthening your inner resilience, strengthening.
Mhm.
Spend some quiet time to recharge. You see how she is here? She's sitting up here in the clouds. She's meditating. So you want to spend some quiet time and let go of all the outside noise around you. So she's separating herself. Let
Oh,
go of all the outside noise. So that's what which the hermit is telling us. And the next card that Spirit gave us, which coincides with what energy should I invite in? What's the energy I should invite in? And this energy is, we got the beautiful star. Got the beautiful, beautiful star. Yes, I love this card. And basically she's saying, inviting in that hope, right? That hope and positivity, positive energy. Focus on ourselves, focus on self renewal, focus on your dreams. You're setting boundaries because you have things that you want to accomplish and things you don't want other things getting in your way. So focus on that. Focus on uplifting yourself. You want to empower yourself with uplifting energy.
mm,
And that's what the star does. That's what the star does for us. It's like a sense of peace.
yeah.
So you want to give yourself that peace. And I had to pull an angel number card. I had to do that. I had to do that. So the angel number card that we got is 444.
Mm,
And 444 basically is saying, you're guided here to build a strong foundation. So making those boundaries, that's a strong foundation. Trust that you are protected when you do that. The angels are protecting you. Your spirit and guides are protecting you when you set those boundaries. And this card, the key words to this card is protection. 444 is protection. And the key words to this card are change, rebellion, guidance, justice, truth, character, and love. And speak your truth when you're setting a boundary. That is your truth, and don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. That boundary is for you, and you're setting that boundary for a reason. And 444 says, get ready for the good things you've been hoping for. You were born for a higher calling. Put your energy into going toward your ambitions, and the universe will align itself to provide you with the right people,
Mm,
circumstances, and resources to make things happen. And those things all happen when we set a boundary
that's
for
right.
ourselves to protect ourselves. Boundaries are protection.
Yes. Yes.
Their protection.
Yeah.
So that's what I have for you all, beloveds.
That is a very, oh my gosh, to get 3 majors and that 444 to top it
Yes.
off. I love it,
Yes.
and you're right, boundaries are the protection, and it's also when we're creating these boundaries, we're in alignment with who we really are, and
Yes.
being in alignment will
Yes.
automatically attract, certain people to us that resonate and vibe with us on our frequency, so that kinda
Yes.
ties back into that. I just wanna mention really quick, Karen's here. Karen, we just mentioned your name, so you came in, but she says that her little girl broke her nose. God, I hope she's okay.
Oh,
That's terrible. She says, "Oh,
oh,
she's okay, it's a pretty break." Oh my god, but still.
oh. Well, you know what? They're two, right, Karen? So that definitely, she won't even remember that as time goes on.
Oh,
Poor baby.
okay.
Oh,
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, so Lexi gave her reading. So mine now, I'll follow the
thank you,
same questions.
Lila.
So the first is, where is our energy being drained? So as a collective right now, where's our energy being drained? And I pulled the Six
Mm-hmm.
of Cups. So
Ah,
I'm pulling from the Galactic Star Tarot, and
mm-hmm.
also the Oracle will be the Soul Trees Ascension deck. I just felt like energetically this is where we're at right now. And so the Six of Cups for this first prompt of where is it being drained? Because this card is going to reveal the source of negativity or exhaustion in our life. So to me, this is clear as soon as I pulled it. Where and who are you expending your energy on? The Six of
Mm-hmm.
Cups, right? Because the Six of
Mm-hmm.
Cups can be about, connecting with people, whether that be through nostalgia or, reunions or whatever. But I always see this as some sort of an exchange, in the Six of Cups. So who is it that like we are exchanging these emotions, this energy with right now? So I would say that for some of us, our energy is being drained around our interactions with where we're expending our energy in terms of people. And the Oracle card I pulled with that is feel. Yeah. So exactly. So maybe some of the feelings that we have around certain people right now are just a lot, and it's draining our energy. And moving on to card 2, how can we protect our energy because we are being drained? Well, again, another cups card, the 8 of cups, simple, walk away. Walk away, right? And this is the guidance on setting the boundaries and maintaining your emotional resilience. So the Eight of Cups quite literally is inviting you to withdrawal, to retreat, to move on. The Oracle card I pulled with that is inner growth, because sometimes that's what we need for our inner growth, is to simply move on, to branch out. You can see the tree here as well. And then to wrap it all up, we have, what energy should we invite in? Well, we have another cups card. It's the Two of Cups. I love the Two of Cups. And this is the energy that will help you feel more balanced and empowered. Well, quite frankly, connect with people who don't drain you. Is the Two of Cups. This is all about this is all about partnerships, right? So it can be at work, or professional. It can be your friendships. It could be your partner, your actual partner, like your what am I trying to say, spouse or a significant other or whatnot. Two of Cups, and the card I pull with that is breathe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes we just have to take that deep breath and invite that energy in, so that we can attract like-minded people towards us. So that is what I have as well for the reading. I think those readings go really well together.
Yes.
And goodbye, Lila, thank you for being here.
Yes,
I
Lila,
appreciate
thank
you.
you. Karen, you can vent in here. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here
Oh,
for, honey. You're just going through a time right now, but nothing is permanent.
oh gosh, Karen, so many people here love you, Karen, so you're always welcome to reach out
Yes.
if you need us.
Yes, of
um
course.
Mary says, yes, our home is drama free, a free home. Our family knows it too. Yes.
Yes, Mary.
Same here. Same here. We don't do that
Yes.
drama stuff here.
Yes.
No,
We
no.
don't do it here
No,
either.
no, no. No.
No. Nope.
Wow. Okay. So this has been a really great conversation. Thank you all in chat who have chimed in to
Yes.
share your
Yes.
experiences, your thoughts, your opinions. If you're watching this on playback, please make sure to comment below your thoughts and
Yes.
experiences as well.
Yes.
Um, yes, exactly, Hilda. Who brings peace to
Yes.
my world is who I align with. That's it right there.
Yes. Yes.
Say it, Lexi.
Indeed.
Ding, ding.
Ding ding motherfucking ding.
Oh my gosh, Lex, every time you say that, I just laugh. Ding, ding. Yes, Miss Charity, reach out and let us know how we can support you, Karen, please. You do have a community here that really cares about you. Um,
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
oh, thanks for being here, Hilda. I really love that so many
Yeah,
of you.
Hilda, you're up past your bedtime.
Yes, we kept Hilda up, girl.
Or did you
Yes.
take a nap? Maybe she took a nap.
Aw.
Ah,
Well, this was so great. Thanks,
it was so
Lexi,
great.
for
I love
hosting
you
and
all.
for, yeah, inviting
Yes.
me on. I love the
Yes,
conversation.
of
And
course. We've been working hard on this, reading these books and having our study time on these books. So it's good to come on and introduce you all to the book. So the next conversations that we have, we will go through the chapters maybe one by one, back and forth on each book, and give have some more things to talk about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll definitely come back with some more. And yeah, so stay tuned. There'll be more of this conversation. And yeah, feel free if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Of course, email us. If you want to be a part of this, like let us know. We can bring you
And our
on. We can do that.
emails are listed.
Hmm.
So yes, yes, please do keep in touch.
All right. So thank you all for being here. Um, I'm fading. I'm getting a little tired, so
John.
I'm gonna go now too.
Yes, I love you all. I'll be here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for Monday Ain't Done Nothing to Nobody. So come and
Yes.
join us.
Yep.
Come and join me. And I thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. So, Bestie, you ready to let this go?
Yep. I think we're good now.
Okay. All right. Love you, everybody. Love you plenty.
Love you all.
Lexi and Ange and Yappy.
Out. Bye.
Bye.